on the flip side, as a person who lives in a disabled and chronically ill body, a lot of the work that I do in ministry, a lot of the relationships that I have that are really meaningful, deep relationships, like, let's be honest, I think the only time that you and I have physically, no, that's not true. There's been 2 times in our entire life that we have been physically in the same place, right? Once was at the Prophets and Poets event in Portland, and then at Evolving Faith this last year.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
And yet I would consider you one of my closest friends right now.
Yeah, same here, for sure.
So, like, the idea that you have to be physically present with each other, it gets real complicated when you're a disabled person. There's a certain amount of ableism that's inherently present in that idea that, well, you know, we hear a lot of the activism on the internet doesn't count. You have to get out there and march in the streets and really do something. The doing is what makes it count. The idea that these online relationships are not real. They are sort of pseudo shells of a relationship, but you have to physically do life with these people for it to count. And we're seeing the same thing sort of carry over into church, right? That real church is sitting shoulder to shoulder with each other in the same pews. And church ministry, right, is those who's up there, you know, passing the communion and who's staying after church to set up the chairs, and like, that's real ministry. The rest of it doesn't count. But when you live in a disabled body, sometimes those things will never be an option for you. This is the only way that some people who are housebound can do church. I have seen an enormous number of people in the disability community say that this has been a good time for them because there are more options for them to be connected to church than there were before.
Wow.
Right? Like, for them, this hasn't been a time of more disconnection. This has been more opportunities to connect than they have ever been presented with in their life. A virtual smorgasbord of church community that's willing to meet them where they're at home, in their bed or in their